Sorry, that's how the video starts. I didn't do that. It doesn't even register that 0 seconds have gone through playing the video and it already screamed. Anyways. Yeah, pretty much. So this is called Why America's Most Hated Animal is Underrated. And it's by Casual Geographic. Anyways, how did the video start again? Feels good. Maybe one more time. One more time. Oh, yeah, that's good.
What's the most underrated animal? See, now that's almost a trick question because of the very definition of underrated. Because if everyone agrees that this one thing is underrated, then, well, it's really not that underrated. Same thing if I ask you what animal's overhated. Because again, if a majority of people can agree that one specific animal gets too much hate, then guess who suddenly isn't that overhated? And that applies to animals I can guarantee you've already thought of. Like, I'll bet at least one person thought sharks.
Yeah,
well, actually, sharks
they get
so
much. They get so much smack for how they're portrayed, like being like these bloodthirsty, you know, beings. When they're just little guys hanging out.
PR over the years, mostly because we realized we murk hundreds of millions of them a year. That and dolphins started getting the smoke that was previously.
This picture of a dolphin though is probably the spookiest one. Like, this is nightmare fuel.
Reserved for sharks. And believe it or not, gorillas used to get that same type of smoke too. Thanks to King Kong, there was a time where people saw our vegan bodybuilding cousins as violent, malicious hellspawns.
True.
Basically, what we know chimpanzees are, we thought gorillas were. It took a kid falling into a gorilla pen and, you know, not dying for public perception to change. I'm talking about Binti, by the way. Harambe, that's another story.
Yeah.
But speaking of PR, maybe nobody's has gotten more of a 180 than the wolf. An animal that was once so feared and loathed that people did everything in their power to keep wolves from breathing US oxygen.
Really?
It wasn't until we realized
I feel like ever since I was little, wolves were like seen as like a majestic wild animal.
We kind of need wolves, and 2, wolves are actually terrified of people for us to change how we felt about them. So really, none of these animals can be called the most overhated. For an animal to be truly overhated, consequently most of you would have to dislike it enough to disagree that it gets too much hate in the first place.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think as far as like at least now goes, with like media, I feel like media portrays wolves as like they're pretty beloved.
Which is why this isn't a shark, gorilla, or even a wolf video. But before I tell you what it is, we recently just passed the 2-year anniversary of this channel that again pretty much started by accident. So in the spirit of change and new beginnings and all that, there's so much f***ing room now. Yeah, this is life now. Anyway, for an animal to be truly overhated, it's not enough for just people to have it out for them. And it's the fact that almost anything with a pulse is born instinctively hating coyotes that puts them here. If there's one thing you learn in this video, it's that no other animal gets treated more like nature's stepchild than the coyote.
Yeah.
A red-haired middle child at that. And while the human wolf arc has actually gone in a positive direction, people seem to hate their cousins as much, if not more, than they did 100 years ago.
To be fair, the reason why people don't like coyotes is they get a lot more into people's business. They're not afraid of people, is what I've heard. They cause a lot more shenanigans because they're not scared of people. They interact directly with people a lot more.
First, let's talk about what coyotes are. The key difference between a coyote and a wolf is that coyotes wear the face of someone who's seen everything life has to offer and was impressed by none of it. I've never seen an animal look so done with life. Well, except for this guy. Now, I once said that wolves are everything coyotes are, but better. That wasn't exactly true. Because while wolves usually outcompete coyotes and straight up bully them when they're in the same area code, coyotes make up ground by being way more adaptable.
Yeah.
That's actually what helped turn the wolves' image around. Because the absence of wolves meant coyotes were able to run around unchecked and unhinged. And thanks to a diet that consists of literally anything that isn't nailed down, no, seriously, if it fits down a coyote's throat, they're gonna eat it. Coyotes are able to succeed almost as well in the city as they did.
They kind of have like that trash panda persona, right? It's kind of like comparing a red panda to a raccoon. It's like nobody sees a red panda as like a trash dweller, and everybody sees the raccoon as one because they're, you know, there's a lot of them and they can eat scraps on the ground, you know? I'm not saying they're like as closely related or something, but like symbolically, these are more seen as like more in the line of like opossums and raccoons.
The prairie. You can find a coyote in 49 states, and if there was a Hawaiian border, they'd probably
That is really true. They are literally the hyenas of North America. Yep, that's pretty accurate, yeah.
50 for 50. Being able to make a meal plan out of almost anything while also being clever enough to avoid humans is why coyotes, unlike wolves, were able to succeed in urban areas the way most predators couldn't. They're basically travel-sized wolves that identify as raccoons. Any given moment you stand on American soil, you're standing closer to a coyote than you might want to admit. For example, there's about 30,000 Wily seasoned across New York, and chances are you haven't seen one of them.
Man, he's the Assassin's Creed. Look at him go. He's gonna jump off perfectly into a hay bale soon, I bet.
Almost like they all have NordVPN. Because NordVPN creates an encrypted tunnel for your data and protects your identity by hiding your IP address, allowing you to browse the internet in the shadows like a coyote in the city. And you get to enjoy your internet experience without having to worry about your data being sold on the black market, or whatever they do with that. You have the option to connect to one of thousands of different servers across several different countries. You hate hyenas? I love hyenas. If you ever want to watch SpongeBob on Netflix but can't in your area, Australian servers are a hop, skip, and a button away. I don't really dislike coyotes either. Or the toilet snakes. Also, with super fast servers, you never have to feel like you're compromising your speed for security. And thanks to NordVPN's threat protection, you can enjoy whatever you do on the internet. Again, I don't judge, whatever that may be, without having to worry about ads, trackers, and malware. So to get the most out of your streaming service, make sure to go to nordvpn.com/casualgeographic to cop a huge discount available only for a limited time. A discount including an additional 4 months free off a 2-year plan. And with NordVPN's money-back guarantee, it's basically risk-free. You wanna know what isn't risk-free? Well, if you're a coyote, breathing.
Anyway, my story is I didn't really know what coyotes were when I was younger. Okay, I had never seen one. As luck would have it, like when I was little, I saw a raccoon before. I knew what a possum was, right? But I hadn't really seen like a coyote. When I was little, there was a lot of times when like people's dogs would just end up in neighbors' yards, and it was like they just got loose, but not very far. It would be a big deal, right? People would be like, oh, like somebody's dog's out here. I'm sure you guys have seen those like posts and stuff where it's like, oh, it looks like somebody's dog's loose. But anyway, it was like a smaller area, so it wasn't a big deal. Well, anyway, it was like kind of midday. It was like the sun was starting to set, right? Me and my friend were riding our bikes. My parents were kind of like watching, like the moms were talking, right? And there was this dog, and we're like, oh, there's a dog, and we're gonna go see whose dog it is, like who it belongs to, because it was like right down the road, like in sight, like at the end of the street. And like, you know, both our parents were like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever. And they kept talking. We just got to where the dog was, and you could see it like kind of clicked in our parents' minds. They're like, wait a minute, that's not a dog. I was like, man, this is a weird puppy. Every time I'm like, come here, puppy. Mwah, 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 mwah. It's like, he just looked at me like, what the hell? I mean, he didn't hurt me or anything. He was just very bamboozled. I remember him kind of like cocking his head to the side and not looking directly at me. Like, he was kind of sly. Yeah, he kept looking back and forth like, is there somebody else you're looking for? Is she talking to me? Like, yeah, like, what does she want from me? And so luckily I didn't try to like apprehend the dog, but yeah. I got pretty close to like trying to take him in. They're like, that's not a dog.
Our protection would actually be a pretty huge buff to them because, long story short, anything that's in constant contact with a coyote is either taught or born hating them. You're probably familiar with the wolf-raven relationship. Here's how coyotes fit into that. So wolves have no love and no patience for coyotes, mostly because the latter will try to steal food from them right under their nose, which often gets the coyote put on a shirt on sight. Now, ravens and coyotes often compete for the wolves' leftovers. But because ravens are also one of the smartest things in the world with wings, they'll often snitch on thieving coyotes over to their wolf backup.
Uh-oh, he's snitching.
And because why stop there, oftentimes while the coyote is actively running for its life, the raven will fly right above it to show the wolves which direction to run in. It's really no different than a helicopter during a high-speed chase. And the result is often one less coyote to count on the census. And somehow having an airborne black Air Force put a real-life hit on you isn't where it ends for them. Believe it or not, the very symbol of our country is really just an overgrown glorified seagull with the vocal cords of one. And as scavengers, that puts the alopecia pigeon often in direct competition with the wolf's understudy. Not only will bald eagles attempt to bully coyotes away from food, if you're lucky, you'll even see them snatch the food right out of the coyote's mouth and dare them to do something about it. Something that the coyote's a pair of wings and a couple billion years of evolution.
He's like, what the hell, man? I just got that.
Coyote's mouth and dare them to do something about it. Something that the coyote's a pair of wings and a couple billion years
I work hard for that.
of evolution away from doing. It doesn't stop there. Bears will often unsubscribe coyotes from life before they get the chance to finesse them for food.
Oh my gosh.
Cougars do the exact same, except unlike bears, they'll often go out of their way to eat the coyote. Once in a while, a coyote will make the mistake of stopping.
That's weird. They're almost the same size.
For a drink, only to get game overed by a gator. Even raccoons find a way to get their licks in, as mobs of raccoons have been known to attack and jump single lone coyotes.
Really? Yeah, so I guess nature has a bias against them.
That's why it's never a good idea to beef with something born with its own ski mask. Donkeys come into the world with a raging hate bone for anything that even looks coyote in the face. Which is why not only will donkeys unregister coyotes from life, they'll also thrash and ragdoll the coyote's soul divorced corpse like a toy.
Jeez, that's crazy. I wouldn't think a donkey would be the one that would be picking a dangerous fight.
This dog discrimination even applies to the big bird of South America. Like the donkey, the rhea has an internal prejudice for the entire canine family. And
oh, that's not it. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure these birds are angry at anything. These guys try to play PvP with anything that moves, to be fair, all right? It's not personal. This is also hilarious. That poor Cappy, what did he do?
that extends to coyotes. Coyotes aren't usually found in South America, meaning coyotes manage to succeed in being hated by an animal that hasn't even met them yet. And as for humans, well, like I said, Americans hate coyotes more than the metric system. You don't have to see a coyote, you don't even have to live near one. All you have to be is a kid with cable on a Saturday morning to watch a coyote get curb stomped by life.
Oh,
Why
yeah,
really
that's
spend
true.
70 years getting nated on by a bird that really should have been light work in the first place? Like, if it wasn't for one animal, coyotes would really be out here with no friends. Coyotes and badgers are nature's unlikely duo.
I still like this duo, okay? The coyote and badger duo is a duo I never knew that I needed, but I'm so glad exists.
Unlikely, since badgers should probably hate coyotes just as much as everyone else, since coyotes have a history of sometimes attacking and eating badgers. With badgers being a possible threat to coyote pups, the feelings should be mutual, but they manage to put all that aside when they hunt together. Since badgers can dig faster than any mammal, including a grown man with a shovel, they're
Oh, I didn't know badgers could dig like that quickly.
able to flush out animals like ground squirrels and prairie dogs out of their burrows. Trying to hightail it on land puts them on schedule to get run down by the wily coyote. The coyote-badger team up
They're so cute! They're so cute.
is so OP that they're actually 3 times more successful when they go out on hunts together. Everyone wins, except the squirrels. But like wolves and ravens, this isn't just a business relationship. Scientists have seen coyotes and badgers playing with each other and resting together even when food wasn't involved. Coyotes have been seen
That's
laying
so
with their badger
cute.
friends and licking them while the badgers would tolerate it. And if you know about badgers, tolerance is their love language. And it makes sense, since coyotes and badgers apparently go way back. Way back as in researchers found a Mexican jar believed to be from the 1300s that showed a drawing of the 2 animals together.
That's crazy, what the heck? It was written about that long ago?
It's one of the truly wholesome friendships in nature, just like Kevin and his
Historically
rock. Also, I've shown
besties.
this clip like 1,000 times.
This is like my favorite clip ever. I don't even mind that he's showing it a million times. If you haven't seen this, it's so good. It
But
looks
I never
like a
mentioned that
cartoon
that's
moment.
actually the coyote's play bow. It's usually something you'll only see them do with other coyotes, but occasionally you'll see them do it with other animals. Either way, that's what it looks like when an extrovert adopts an introvert.
It looks weird though because like in this circumstance, this is obviously a domesticated behavior, right? Like this is because this coyote lives in a house, you know, and has always probably been around this cat. I think what makes it even weirder is that these are just 2 feral beings that chose to be friends. It just adds to it.
That's kind of where the positivity ends. Because like I said, coyotes are the true plumbers of nature. They have to take every for a living. And the coyote carnage peeks out at us. Look, you could probably tell that I have a soft spot for coyotes, but I'm also self-aware enough to realize that if I had a cat or a small dog in coyote country, my feelings would probably be different.
Yep.
Actually, forget pets. If I had a sleep schedule worth defending and I lived near this,
Okay, that's a cute sound. They're just like, wah, 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 wah. They remind me of huskies. That's what it is. Oh my god. They be making husky sounds. Even the jaguar's like, hey, shut up. Oh my god. He's like, I'm trying to sleep here.
yeah, it would be on site the moment
Shut
I'd
up.
have to hear that at 3 a.m. Other than being menaces to pets, a lot of people hate coyotes because they see them as an EDP level threat to children. Not only that, but if you're a farmer and don't have coyote insurance, I have to assume you'd also sleep with your life savings under your mattress like Mr. Krabs. Also, it probably doesn't help that they're the reason why Spider-Man doesn't have to be involved for Uncle Ben to still catch the wrong end of a fade. But you wanna know where a lot of the coyote hate came from? Seriously, you'll never guess it. Not with 1,000 tries. Mark Twain.
What? Yeah, he's right. I wouldn't have guessed this.
I don't know what kind of childhood he had, but something clearly happened to make him hate coyotes as if one took his mother. Mark Twain in 1872 described coyotes as sorry-looking skeletons with gray wolfskin stretched over it.
What? That's pretty fire. This guy was good at insults, man. I want to see what else he has bad opinions on. I want to see what other stuff he doesn't like. He's poetic about it, man. A long, slim, sick, and sorry-looking skeleton with a gray wolfskin stretched over it. A tolerably bushy tail that forever sags down. Jeez, jeez! And also this is cut off. This goes on for further. This is insane.
With a tail that forever sags with a despairing expression of misery. Man's really used his understanding of the English language to dunk on a lower mammal. He even called coyotes so disgusting that even fleas would dub them. He called it a lowly coward with teeth so jacked up that the rest of its face is constantly apologizing for it.
Man, I love this guy's way of, like, expressing dislike of something. This is so good. Man, if I could go back in time, I'd be like, all right, so this is somebody I dislike. Could you write something about them for me?
One of the biggest mysteries in nature is what one coyote had to do to make Mark Twain invest so much time and malice slandering them. Like, I've never seen a human being so personally offended by the existence of an animal. And if Twain was around today, he'd probably post an exposed video about them. And that would be after canceling them on Twitter. But his
Well, what did it say? Twain? Fun fact, Wiley was inspired by Mark Twain's description of coyotes. Wait, no way! They used his description to make an entire cartoon.
Post an exposed video about them. And that would be after canceling them
70 years of disrespect, all thanks to one man.
On Twitter.
That's
but
so
his coyote
funny.
hit piece got so much clout that it actually played a big part in the reason a lot of people wanted them evicted from the prairie.
I don't know, I kind of respect him more now that many people were that mad. He's like the troll of the animal kingdom, you know?
From America, from life itself. We basically declared war on an actual prairie dog. Except there was just one issue with this. Coyotes are canine cockroaches. They refuse to be killed. Seriously, It's impossible, and we've tried. Like, Australia gets a lot of grief for losing a war with a great value ostrich, but we've been getting got by a dollar store dingo for the longest. But somehow getting their lunch money taken by wolves constantly for generations taught the coyotes how to cope. In areas where coyotes are heavily hunted, they'll just have more coyotes. Usually coyotes come out by the half dozen, but in areas where hunters have the green light, they can have litters of up to 12. Coyotes even have a specific roll call for this exact reason. A female coyote will call out as a way to see how many coyotes are in the area. It's like their version of a verbal census. Well, if the female doesn't hear a lot of coyotes in response, that'll trigger something in her body to produce more pups. In one case,
oh my god, that's insane. A reproductive hack to make sure they're not short on numbers.
So a rancher turned a female coyote into a widow. What did she do? Well, she left the area, found a male, brought him back, and continued making more coyotes. When it comes to coyotes, understand that 1 minus 1 equals 1.
Bro, she increased the spawn rate.
The harder we try to birth them, the harder they work to birth them. And no matter how much everything in nature wants them dead, coyotes will still be out here like,
you can't get rid of me.
We hate the things we can't control. That's why coyotes get no love. And that's where coyotes get their get back on wolves.
Yeah, they're like a hydra.
Wolves will often outcompete them in the same area. Coyotes are that much more adaptable. And as much as people like to say they hate them, we're actually the biggest reasons why coyotes were able to take their act across every state that isn't an island. When we wiped out wolves to the point where we had to physically bring them back, coyotes took the opportunity to turn the United States into its playground. And like the canine cockroaches they were able to survive and thrive in urban environments. Mostly because, like I said, they will eat literally anything. You can have a garden with apples, pears, and peaches and still suffer coyote casualties. You can leave cat food out for your pet, not realizing you're contributing to a coyote's calories. And as are the rules in nature, when you can eat anything, you can live anywhere. Especially because of another fact. Wolves often rely on pack structure to survive. It's the reason why you'll almost never see a healthy adult wolf in the wild by itself. Coyotes can run through life solo or in pairs.
Why is he trying to like find like a burrow? You see like the foxes like jump and try to go in a hole, but he's just
a healthy adult wolf in the wild by itself. Coyotes can run through life solo or in pairs, making it that much easier for them to fly under the radar. Speaking of pairs, coyotes are monogamous. They very much
he's nature's natural snowplow.
Mate for life. As in, a coyote will find another coyote and decide that's its life now. Mother and father coyote will even go grocery shopping together because that increases their hunting success rate. And here's where they might just win you over. So a lot of their meal prep involves stealing from much bigger, much more dangerous animals like bears or wolves. So oftentimes it's actually the male coyote that'll go and scope out a possible bounty while the female waits off in the distance. If worse comes to worse and the male coyote gets relieved from life, the female coyote still has a chance to get away. And even though his kids have less of a chance at surviving without their
this coyote escaped and went on to successfully raise all 3 of her pups without her fallen mate. Dang!
Father, it's better than the 0% it would have been if both parents got packed up. But the best dog father out there would probably be the golden jackal. While they're not the same, let's be
that's not what I would expect. Like when I think of like coyotes or jackals, I don't think of them being like, you know, Superhero parents.
Honest, coyotes and jackals are like the metric system and whatever Americans use. If you call yourself an American, you probably call it a coyote. If you live literally anywhere else, it's probably a jackal. Coyotes and jackals pretty much have the same roles in society. And just like coyotes, golden jackals mate for life, and the male will dig a den for his pregnant female, which he will defend with his life.
Aww.
Golden jackal couples also hunt together, and they're 3 times more successful when they do. The father jackal's so devoted that if something ever happened to him, chances are his kids wouldn't pull through with just a single mother working alone.
They got the based buddy system, man.
Coyotes are just as ride or die. Not only are they loyal partners, but female coyotes that don't have kids of their own during pupping season will often help their sisters or mothers raise their children. Coyote aunties are very much a thing, and it means a world of a difference to the coyote pups. Speaking of kids, we gotta address the elephant in the room, and that elephant would be the coy wolf. It's exactly what it sounds
What? It looks like a toasted marshmallow.
like. You ever hear the expression F the ops? Yeah, wolves took that at its word. And like almost everything else, this one's on us too.
Doesn't it?
Because
He looks like a little caramel, but like,
we were out
he
here
looks so
murking wolves like
fluffy.
they owed us oil, the ones that did survive were low on options. And I guess if you squint hard enough at a coyote, it starts to look like a wolf. I like how out of context that sounded deep and profound, but really we're just talking about coyotes and wolves coitusing. To the point where the northeastern
When a mommy coyote and a daddy wolf love each other very much,
coyote is
they make a toasted marshmallow-looking specimen somewhere in the middle, and it's very fluffy.
actually a hybrid that's 60% western coyote, 30% eastern wolf, and about 10% domestic dog.
And 100% adorable.
Which I can't fully explain. The problem is coy wolves are bigger than the typical
Bro, he looks like he's wearing boots. Do you see it? Like where the tufts on his ankles are?
western coyote, while also not being as people shy as the typical wolf. One thing about coyotes, damn it, they're gonna find a way. But the question is, do coyotes deserve the hate? Again, your answer may depend on if you've ever had a pet that got turned into coyote poop. But in their defense, because honestly, someone has to, coyotes don't usually see dogs as prey, usually just competition. And as afraid of them as some people are, coyotes have been responsible for human obituaries twice. Ever. Once in California, once in Canada. Squirrels and deer empty way more seats at family reunions, yet no one's out here declaring war on them. Also, there's a lot of myths surrounding coyotes. One of them is that they'll actively bait dogs into chasing them so they can lead the dog into a pack of coyotes waiting to tear it apart.
Really? I've never heard that.
And a lot like with wolves, coyotes are naturally afraid of people. It's when they start associating people with food that things can get bitey.
Yep. That's kind of like what I had, right? Was like probably the coyotes I saw as a little kid were like one that lived in that residential area, and so they were less scared of people.
Now, if you ask me how I feel about farmers flatlining coyotes to protect their livestock, I mean, what do you want them to do? I get it. Not to sound all PETA in the face about it, there's humane ways to do it. I literally watched a video of a guy setting his pit bull loose on a coyote and watching it slowly
I don't advocate for torture or anything like that. That sounds awful.
break its leg while the coyote cried in pain and the owner was just recording.
I'm glad you don't have the heart to show me. I don't need that. But yeah, it's like I think the reason they get such a bad rep is that like any animal that gets like that is not liked is kind of, what is it, like a scavenger animal? It sounds weird, but like hyenas aren't liked because they're considered the scavenger animal. You know, they have lots of numbers. They're kind of like a nature's pest, but it's not really their fault. That's, yeah, like vultures, same idea, right? Yeah, nobody likes the cleanup crew, which I think is kind of rude. When I was little, I wasn't really familiar with the stereotypes yet as much. I looked at them, this is what I said. They are nature's exclamation points, because the sounds they made tended to be louder and they tended to be like more expressive and move around. And so I just thought they were very expressive and interesting compared to the other animals in the zoo. I was like, he's like an exclamation point. Look at him go. Like hyenas giggle, coyotes like cackle, same with like jackals. And so like I thought they were great. Nature's exclamation point.
And that's where I'm like, damn, reincarnation really something, because Twain's still out here leaving his mark. I'm not asking you to like coyotes. I'm just saying anything with that much of a will to live and that little of a fire under a cautious kangaroo to give about anyone else. I mean, at some point you gotta respect the game. Their entire existence is out of spite.
Yeah, we gotta have respect for nature's garbage man and plumbers.
Middle finger to everyone else. I mean, man survived 70 years of disrespect and a second Space Jam. That's gotta count for something. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this video, which you can probably tell I had a lot of fun with. For more consistent content, be sure to follow my TikTok and Instagram. I try to post daily on both. And if you would like to support this channel, my Patreon's also gonna be in the description. Final plug, but most important, as you may or may not know, I actually came out with a book earlier this summer, along with an audiobook on the off chance you're not sick of hearing my voice yet. The book's called 100 Animals That Can Effing End You. And I think the title kind of speaks for itself. The link's also gonna be in the description. Other than that, drink water. For real, that stuff's important. Hug your mother. She's not gonna be here forever. Respect coyotes, I guess. Thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this video, and I'll hopefully see y'all in the next one.
They're just little guys, little mischievous guys. I love these sounds, okay? Have you guys heard like a group of baby raccoons? They kind of make like weird barking sounds too. I love how they're just like, yippee, yippee! I love it. He sounds so excited. Like if I was having a rough day, or I was like trying to win a race and like the finish line was close and I didn't think I'd want to make it, these would be the guys I'd want like to cheer me on, like, you know. These would make the best cheerleaders, okay? They would make a good hype squad. That's all I'm saying. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. They're so cute too. They can't help it that they're, you know, nature's trash system. You know, that RNG was not their fault, you know.